Hey guys, my name's Sean and I am with Forward Home Enhancements, and we're a roofing contractor located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But I was up here today on this roof that I just built, along with the deck that was in progress down there. And I was thinking to myself, I've been roofing now, this would be my 18th year roofing, and you know what I have to say nobody ever taught me was how to chalk lines. So I taught myself how to chalk lines because the older guys that I worked with, they hoarded knowledge and they wouldn't tell me what the line measurements were. So I ended up having to figure it out on my own over time. So what I figured, and I looked around on YouTube just recently, and I didn't see any videos where they actually teach you the line measurements and how we do it. So I'm sure there's different ways to chalk lines, but I'm going to teach you a way that's a surefire way that will get you to get the job done. So let's put it that way. So the first thing you're going to need to know, guys, and I'm going to try to do this while holding the camera or holding the phone on the roof and teaching you at the same time, so please be patient with me. But the first thing you're going to need to know is the width of your starter strip, because that's the most important thing here when you're getting started off. So say if you're using a 3-tab shingle, the width of that's going to be 12 inches. Now, depending on what part of the country you live in, you may or may not require overhang. In PA, it's common for us to put at least an inch overhang all the way around. So how I'm going to start this off is I'm going to take my tape measure out, and I'm going to hook onto my edge, right onto the drip edge there, right? So then from there, I'm going to mark one at 11 inches. So like I said, guys, it's a little tricky. So 11 inches. Now, that's accounting for my 1 inch overhang, because the shingle's 12 inches wide, that 3-tab shingle. So what I do at this point is I bump it down to put it at 12. Now, while it's on 12, I'm going to try to hold it with my foot here. While it's on 12, you're going to measure the width of the shingle you're using. So if the width of the shingle you're using, the ones I'm using, is 13 1/4, a typical dimensional. So I'm going to mark another one at 13 1/4, right? Now here's where the magic happens. You have to know what your reveal is. So the reveal on the shingle is going to be the part that's showing. And on architectural shingles, it's going to be, here, I'll just show you where it is. Okay. So get this stuff up out the way here. And these are GAF shingles. We typically use OC, but whatever. So this is the reveal line. That's the top of it. So you don't want your shingle to come down too far below this, and you don't want it to be too far above it either. So if you measure your reveal on your shingle, you're going to bump your tape up against that notch right there. So this one right here is like 5 1/2 heavy, almost 5 5/8, right? So what we do is we say, all right, instead of running with fractions and all that crazy stuff and trying to figure out eighths and whatnot, I'll take it to the nearest half, which is going to be 5 1/2 inches. So pro tip, lock your tape measure when you're doing this, if you can. Some instances you can't do that. So remember that second crow's foot we made right there, that 13 1/4 one? I'm going to put the edge of my tape measure at the 13 1/4. Okay, now I'm going to mark, so you can mark every shingle or every other. So I'm going to mark 5 1/2, 11, 16 1/2, 22, and then 27 1/2. Sorry about this, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay. Sorry. Now back to this. Now you have your 5 1/2 your 16, this is this damn titanium paper. So there you go. So now you have your first course is here. You always skip this line when you're snapping, because your first course of shingles is going to butt even with your starter course. No matter what, this line is going to be irrelevant. So you bump your first course of shingles even with the edge of your starter course, and then you snap the next line up, which is going to be the 5.5, then 16.5, 22, then we got 27.5, 33, and then 38.5, 44, and so on. I go every 5.5 inches. So you can go, say you snap your first course at 5.5, then you can go 11, 22, 33, 44, and so on. Now, what I always do, and what roofers that worked with me do, and what I make them do, is we compare the last crow's foot that you make at the very top. So once you get up to where your ridge is going to be, the last crow's foot, you compare the measurement on this side of the ridge to this side of the ridge to see if you're even when you get to the top, because you don't want a short course underneath the ridge caps. So in the event that you're an inch or so off, you want to make sure that you're consistent on the way up. Now, I can do another video on how to bend the tape and all that stuff to make sure you have even intervals the whole way up, but I figured that would get you guys started. After they're snapped, they're going to look something like this. Like I said, I chalk every line. I'm by myself today, but I chalk every line just because after you go through the process of chalking lines, the job is a lot faster. Now, like I said, I've been doing this for 18 years, and I'm not here to start arguments with anybody, but snapping lines is always faster, especially if you have multiple shooters. Why it's always faster? All right, so it took me maybe 5 minutes to snap these lines. Now I don't have to guess where the shingles got to go. I don't have to guess. There's going to be no waves. It's going to be as straight as these lines are. So that's just a quick pro tip, guys. I mean, I used to be one of those guys that said, I have a laser eye. I don't have to chalk lines because I'm that good, etc., etc. Like, I mean, that don't even sound professional, man. I mean, what are you, Superman? You can just look at a roof and tell if there's any variances in it. Give me a break. Chalking lines is the most efficient and professional way to run shingles. So, I hope that this video helped somebody, and if there's any other tips that you guys need to bring you up to par on your job site, kind of impress your boss a little bit, reach out in the comment sections, let me know what you think, and yeah, happy roofing to you guys. Thanks.